Our final game of Week 7 went down at Capshaw Field, homecoming for the Fountain Valley Barons, and the Sailors prevailed 49-0. Newport moves to 2-5 on the season. Fountain Valley drops to 1-6, and the Sailors, they're trying to win 2 out of their next 3 and get a shot at the postseason, maybe an at-large berth. Coach Peter Lofthouse, he said, despite the Sailors' record, morale was high into the locker room heading into homecoming week against Huntington Beach.
We got another big challenge here against Huntington Beach, and this is the second of a 3-step process in terms of, getting to our goal, which is to get to the playoffs. And so, the locker room at the end was all fired up. Boys were jumping around. It felt like you would have no clue that we were a 2-5 team in the locker room, and you can feel the confidence and the kids feeling like, hey, the tide's starting to turn in our direction. We made some plays.
Howard, this game against Fountain Valley was just what the doctor ordered for the ailing Newport Harbor Sailors. The offense hadn't been clicking. The defense had given 94 points up over their previous 2 games. We saw the potential of the Sailors realized on Friday night at Capshaw Field, firing on all cylinders. A lot of well-executed plays. There was one in particular, though, a 52-yard touchdown from the new quarterback, replacing the injured Nick Kim senior A.J. Guttron-Moore to Cashin Henjum, who had a pair of touchdowns on Friday. There was one 52-yard touchdown pass from Guttron-Moore to Henjum that you think exemplified the execution, the effectiveness of the Sailors' offense.
Yeah, well, we talked about this play with Coach Lofthouse. I mean, we saw it when it happened. It looked great. It's a great example of football on tape that's just done right. So if you look at the play, Newport Harbor comes out 4 wide receivers and 1 running back. So they've got a typical 2-by-2 formation. They're often in this set. Fountain Valley comes out, another typical defense. 4 down linemen, 3 linebackers, 2 high safety. And the Sailors know right now they want to go to Cashin Henjum if they can. And what they would love to do is get that near safety moved out of the way. So it's just Cash one-on-one with the cornerback with nothing but field to work with because they're going to send him on a post route. So what the Sailors do is they send Duke Starnes in motion before the play. And if it's man coverage, that safety's going to go with Duke Starnes, and bam, the Sailors get exactly what they want. The safety follows Duke, and now it's Cash and Henjum in the corner one-on-one. And Cash does something critical that makes this play work. He always runs go routes. He's always running a fade. So he starts his path on this route. He knows he's gonna go to the middle of the field on a post, but he aims at that outside shoulder of the cornerback. He kind of gives some head and shoulders at the top of the route towards the outside numbers as if he's gonna run a fade, and he cuts it back across the cornerback's face. And when Cash gives that head and shoulders fake and leans to his right a little bit, the corner opens up his hips toward the sideline. Once the corner opens up his hips to the sideline, it's over. Cash is going to cross face, and he's off to the races. Corner tries to make a tackle, but he doesn't have enough. Cash is running too fast, running too hard. You get a huge block by Zach Zamora, and that's all she wrote.
Yeah, that was a great touchdown. Good to see Cash Money get going for the Sailors. Offense was clicking. I want to talk about the defense, though, for Newport Harbor as well. Some unsung heroes stepping up. Cam Denoon had a big scoop and score for Newport Harbor. The sophomore defensive lineman, Robby Crowell, forced that fumble, also had an interception. Jacob Jerzyk was making some big plays on the D-line. So a really great, well-rounded performance by the Sailors defense as well.
And also a guy I've got to throw in is Carson Diavla. He lays a big hit every game. Once every game, you know somebody's going to get cut in half with a spear by Carson Diavla. And it happened, I think, early in the first quarter against the Fountain Valley Barons. He just laid a guy out. And he might not be the biggest guy in the world, but man, he lays the hits like he's the biggest guy on the field every week. So shout out to Carson Diavla, always bringing the lumber, playing hard, and making the offense feel his presence.
Howard, we were at the game on Friday, and there was a couple guys from the Fountain Valley side that stood out to us as well. We knew it was going to be a tough year for the Barons. We saw that they did what Coach Gutierrez said they were going to do, show up, play hard, and fight, but they just don't have enough firepower. But Owen Tomko, the junior quarterback, he stood in there, and you're talking about Carson Diavla and these Sailors laying hits. Tomko took hit after hit, hung in there, and played statistically on paper, not a game that he'll remember, but he played a gutsy game. He had a gutsy performance from our point of view.
So we don't get to see these guys every single week. We don't get to watch every snap of every game. So I was so elated for us to finally get to lay our eyes and dissect the Fountain Valley Barons. And a few guys I want to shout out. Number one, Owen Tomko, like you just mentioned. He is tough as nails. He sat in the pocket. He saw blitzers coming down the middle, coming in his face, and was also taking hits from the blind side. Jumping up, trying to shake off stingers, limping. You could tell he was out there under pressure and taking a beating, but that didn't discourage him. He would throw the deep ball, even connected on a couple of deep balls and look good. So I just wanted to shout him out for his toughness and his willingness to stand in there and take big hits. Couple other guys I want to shout out. Kane Elroy, man, he's a football player. He is a good linebacker. Every time Fountain Valley needed not every time they needed, but when they did come up with a tackle for a loss, or, it's 1st and 10 and there's just somebody shoots the gap and makes a big tackle in the backfield, it was always Kane Elroy. He also came in and got a little action at the H-back position, but just in general, he was very dominant for Fountain Valley. Along with Ben Pham playing hard, Hercules Winrath, he's all over the field. So a lot of guys for Fountain Valley that look good despite it being a lopsided victory for the Sailors.